नमस्ते, सत श्री अकाल। कैसे हैं आप लोग? उम्मीद करती हूँ ठीक होंगे, खुश होंगे। मैं हूँ अज़ीज़ा अली और मेरे साथ है
तारिक नियाजी। अस्सलाम वालेकुम, नमस्ते, सत श्री अकाल। उम्मीद करता हूँ ठीक होंगे, खुश होंगे दोस्तों। जहाँ रहें खुश रहें,
माँ बाप का ख्याल करें, क्योंकि माँ बाप है तो सब कुछ है। आज की हमारी वीडियो है प्रवीण जी की वीडियो है, बहुत ही सीक्रेट से भरपूर। सो स्टार्ट करते हैं अपनी वीडियो को। सो लेट्स स्टार्ट। ओके गाइस, तो वीडियो का टाइटल है एविडेंस ऑफ एंशिएंट मेडिकल टेक्नोलॉजी आर बी अ प्रोडक्ट ऑफ जेनेटिक इंजीनियर्स। वाओ, सो स्टार्ट करते हैं अपनी वीडियो को।
Hey guys, today I want to show you some radical, groundbreaking evidences about ancient India and its technology. Here's a carving found in an ancient temple. It shows something mind boggling, a sperm approaching an ovum just prior to fertilization. But this sounds nonsensical because we know that the human fertilization process was only discovered in the 19th century. But this ancient Indian temple was built more than 1,000 years ago. So, how could they carve a sperm and ovum looking like this without a microscope? Of course, some will argue that this is something else, a snake eating an egg. Some will argue that this is Rahu from Hindu mythology. He is known for eating the sun or moon, causing the eclipse. Quite an interesting story from Hindu texts, except that this explanation conveniently avoids telling you that Rahu is only half snake. His entire upper torso is always shown human like with full facial features. Here is another carving from another ancient temple. Again, this is clearly a sperm fertilizing an ovum. This is how it originally looked in the last 5 years, and the temple has decided to paint it recently. Sorry, it looks like this now. I like the older look. And one detail of this is that you can see that the sperm is smaller and the ovum is larger. If this is a snake, there's no way it can swallow this. If you look at the actual videos of snakes eating eggs, you will not even consider this as a possibility. And this is not even a snake because it doesn't have any head or scales. If you notice Hindu temples, they carve the details perfectly. They carve the scales, they carve tongue, they even carve rows of teeth inside their mouths, which most of us today don't even know they have teeth like this. If this is in fact a sperm and ovum, and ancient India was far ahead in advanced technology, shouldn't they have documented what happens after fertilization? In another ancient temple, you can see something even more strange, a single cell. This is unmistakable because it looks circular, like an egg cell, with a round nucleus at the center. So, what happens when a sperm unites with this egg cell? A new life called zygote or embryo is formed and it starts to divide rapidly. The fertilized egg starts to split into two cells. Again, this is clearly shown in the same temple in the same place. Then it starts to split into four cells. Again, this cell division is also clearly shown in the same temple side by side, as though they're giving us a step-by-step explanation of the process. Then the cells start to become a blob and slowly start to look like a human after 8 weeks. Now this is called a fetus. Now thus far you have definitely wondered, is this all true? Or is this something else? If this is really true, if they studied the fertilization and cell division, then there should be carvings of fetus inside the womb, right? In a temple called Kundaram Bhairavar Temple, there are carvings showing fetus with the umbilical cord attached, clearly in a fetal position, just like how we are able to see them with advanced technology now. There are other carvings showing stylized form of the human fetus as well. I have personally visited this temple to film this. However, I was told that photography has now been banned. but I've seen them with my own eyes and confirmed that these carvings are there in the temple, but the pictures I'm using are from the internet. But this is not the only temple which shows the fetus. In another ancient temple in the village of Sirukarumbu, there is a weird carving. Again, it shows an unborn baby, a fetus inside the womb, in the fetal position. These carvings of fetuses are found in several ancient temples, but this carving gives us some spectacular details. It was originally said to be in the main chamber of the temple, and it has a hole on top where a specific concoction will be poured inside as a ritual, as though they're nourishing the fetus. Now, what is more interesting is that the main chamber of every Hindu temple is called Garbhagriha in Sanskrit language and Karuvarai in Tamil language. Both these words mean one and one thing only: uterus or womb. Why would a temple's central chamber, the sanctum sanctorum, be called the womb? How is it related to pregnancy? I haven't fully understood this yet, but Hindu temples seem to be very closely related to pregnancy. I've shown you what happens inside the body, but what happens outside? Is it carved in Hindu temples? There are thousands of carvings showing pregnancy in Hindu temples. In fact, with the data I have collected, I'm now able to even classify them. This is between 0 to 3 months or the first trimester. Some are between 3 to 6 months or second trimester. And lots of carvings show the last trimester because it's the most eye-catching. But before we go look at the delivery and other interesting information, when a woman got pregnant in ancient times, how did they confirm if she's pregnant? Today, doctors do an ultrasound by putting a device on a woman's belly to see the baby and its developments. This is considered the pinnacle of technology. However, a very similar carving is found in an ancient Hindu temple in Cambodia. Here, a doctor is seen holding a very similar device on the belly of a woman, doing the exact same test, checking for pregnancy. Archaeologists confirm this carving is more than 900 years old. Is it possible that such a device existed in ancient times? Are we inventing new machines, or are we simply reinventing ancient machines? But how was such a technology possible in ancient times? Did ancient people at least know about human anatomy? It is well known that ancient builders carved things very accurately in Hindu temples. Look at the toes and look at the fingernails, and their attention to human anatomy is just stunning. You can see the veins, arteries, and individual strands of hair, all of them carved in ancient times. Okay, I know some of you will think this is what artists do. These guys were master sculptors and they just wanted to show these details because they wanted to be accurate and loved their jobs to make things look realistic and beautiful. But how beautiful is this? Currently placed in the Museum of Allahabad, archaeologists confirm that this is an ancient artifact, a model showing the intestine of a male human body. Experts have dated this to 2nd century AD, so it's about 1,800 years old. This was absolutely not done for beauty. They were definitely studying human anatomy for scientific purposes. Is it possible that ancient Indians were not only studying anatomy, but were also performing surgeries just like today? In the past decade, a revolutionary device has been created to detect breast cancer. It's a handheld cup like device and it can be placed on the breast to check for cancer. Remarkably, in an ancient temple, the exact process is carved. A woman is holding a cone like device on her breast, clearly pressing it against her breast. She holds one finger on her face, a clear indication of thinking about her future, and tears are rolling down her eyes.
आज की तरह
Is it possible that this was an ancient handheld cancer detecting device? How else can we explain this carving? Exactly how advanced were they? Since we can see carvings of sperm and ovum, the cell division, and even ultrasound tests for pregnancy, did they also study and use other advanced technology? Believe it or not, in the ancient temple of Srirangam, I found a very strange carving. A woman is holding up her leg to facilitate a man
जैसे ऐसा लग रहा है
who is
वाकई में testing कर रही है
implanting
क्या?
something into her womb. Initially, when I was filming this, I thought she was delivering a baby. But look, her belly is completely flat and her face shows no pain or happiness. So she's not delivering, she's not even pregnant. So, what is being implanted inside her womb? The answer is found in the ancient text of Mahabharata, which explains the curious case of Krishna's brother. After fertilization, an embryo was taken out of Krishna's mother and then implanted in the uterus of a surrogate mother. Today, this process of inserting an embryo in a different womb is specifically called gestational surrogacy. Until the last century, this would have sounded like magic. But with our technological advances, we cannot help but wonder, did ancient people use a similar technology? How else can we find such a carving with precise details and the matching description in an ancient text? Compared to his brother, Krishna's birth was only moderately complicated. His mother did not deliver him naturally, so they had to do a cesarean or a C-section surgery. The ancient text describes this surgical procedure as Shalya Prayoga, and the mother's belly was slit open to bring Krishna into the world. Even today, in Krishna's birth town, his birthday is celebrated in a very unique way. They will make thin cuts in a cucumber and show baby Krishna coming out to remember how he came into the world. While modern experts claim Krishna as a fictional mythological figure, many Hindus believe Krishna existed just like Buddha. Even outside India, for example, in Cambodia, Krishna's mother is still revered as the godmother in Cambodia. You can find lots of 1,000-year-old carvings, but carvings of her may be a little too accurate. Can you see the problem here? Yes, those 3 lines at the bottom of the belly, identical to the marks created by a modern C-section. Some of you may think these are stretch marks caused by pregnancy, but stretch marks are vertical, not horizontal, and you should find them all over the belly. However, C-section marks are horizontal, and these marks are shown only on the lower abdomen, clearly portraying C-section delivery. How did sculptors know how to portray Krishna's mother with these marks if they had no knowledge of C-section? In fact, this mark is shown in many carvings of devatas or godmothers around many Hindu temples. This means, in ancient times, C-section surgeries must have been as common as today. Okay, so we have seen ultrasound, mammogram, embryo transfer, and C-section. I know you're dying to know if they had test tube babies back then. If you're not familiar with test tubes, today an embryo is made outside the womb in a test tube or a container. This process is called in vitro fertilization or IVF. And yes, in ancient Indian texts, there are plenty of examples of test tube babies. For example, the popular ancient Saint Augustia was a test tube baby. He was fertilized and completely grown in a container called kumb or kumbum. But of course, you may think these are just modern interpretations. But there are ancient carvings showing baby Augustia being born out of a container. If you are watching this video between 2021 and 2035, you may think this is quite dramatic. You may think it's not possible to have a fully developed baby coming out of an artificial container. But if you're watching this video in the future, if you're watching this after 2035, you will have no problem with this because we would have already progressed to this level of technology. We will be having babies delivered completely outside the human body in an artificial womb. What I find weirder is that the ancient texts are so accurate. They talk about the problems that arise because of these artificial methods. For example, Augustia was very short. He was not the same height as others because of this test tube system. Today, it's well known that there's a possibility of multiple births when they use in vitro method. And ancient texts and temples describe this issue. They show twins, triplets, and quadruplets are created because of artificial methods. Agastya himself had a twin brother. Also, a twin brother and sister called Kripi and Kripa were created using the test tube method, and they were identical twins. And this is very strange because if the twins are male and female, experts have always maintained that they will not be identical. But now, Queensland University of Technology in Brisbane confirms that yes, two sperms can fertilize an egg. And yes, you can have a boy and a girl looking nearly identical because of this. But what's really fascinating is that this process was understood and artificially produced more than 1,000 years ago. We have ancient carvings showing this, where two sperms are fertilizing one egg, and these types of identical twins are created. You can clearly see two sperms approaching and entering a single egg. Did we once have a very advanced ancient civilization? Did it somehow get destroyed? But the ancient Indians were more advanced than what we are today, because today we fertilize the egg in a test tube and then we implant it in the womb. But the ancient text of Mahabharata explains a fully functional artificial womb that can hold the baby until its birth. According to the text, there were sophisticated structures called krutakum, meaning containers supplied with life-sustaining nutrients. And the text even mentions that these containers were supplied with nutrients and the cells grew until they became fully developed babies. All of this is quite unbelievable until you realize that scientists have developed and tested fully functional artificial wombs now. Growing a baby completely outside the womb is now called ectogenesis. These artificial wombs have been tested on lambs, and they're fully grown for 4 weeks and they develop a coat of fur. And scientists have confirmed that they have all parts of the body fully developed without any issues. If law permits, they can build a complete artificial womb for humans. Did ancient Indians also do the same? Did they take the sperm and egg and not only fertilize them, but also create these artificial wombs called kumb to grow the embryo into fully developed babies? But how did that kumb, the ancient artificial womb, really look? In almost every ancient temple, inside the main chamber or the womb chamber, there will be strange carvings called kumb. This structure is usually carved secretly in deep, dark places of the main chamber, so the lighting is never good when I film them. I examined this one from the ancient temple at Hampi. The kumbh or kumbum does not look like a regular container, but a very, very complex, sophisticated device. The bottom has a large oval chamber to hold the growing fetus. It has two handles or knobs attached to it on the left and right, perhaps for opening it if needed. It seems to be having two large tube like structures attached on either side. And on the top, there is a cylinder attached. I shot this one in a different temple. Again, look at this kumbh, remarkably similar to the one we saw before. Why are these strange structures carved in deep, dark parts of temples? What's more interesting is that the entire structure has a long cylinder attached on top, which seems to have a type of ventilation mechanism at the very top to supply oxygen. Modern scientists confirm that these are the essential parts needed for an artificial womb. It needs an outer shell with a chamber to implant and protect the growing embryo, an artificial placenta to put the nutrients and oxygen in, and a way to transfer carbon dioxide and waste products out. Do you know scientists are building a tiny ECMO device, a device that allows blood to be oxygenated outside the body? According to this plan, the device will blend gases and oxygenate the fetus, and they will have artificial placenta to remove the carbon dioxide and the waste from the womb. This seems to be the exact design of the ancient kumbh as well. Remember, I showed you a temple before. In it, there are carvings of how cells divide. First, a single cell, then it becomes two, and then it starts becoming four. In the same temple, there's a kumbh carved there, and there you can see something fantastic. Inside the kumbh, you can see cells growing. It clearly shows how the cells are starting to divide more and more, and the cells are growing in this kumbh. But it is this specific shape that surprises me. It looks familiar, doesn't it? Because you studied this in high school. This is the pistil, the female reproductive organ in plants. I mean, this is remarkable. Today we know the pistil contains the egg at the bottom, and it will get fertilized when a sperm cell comes from the top and cell division starts to happen. But how can this be carved in a temple? We know ancient people were studying human anatomy, but were ancient Indians also studying plants and animals and how they reproduce? Here's a carving that's at least 1,000 years old in a temple called Kediliyapur Temple. The details are shocking. An elephant is trying to give birth, but it's being assisted by other elephants. Look how one elephant is using its trunk and pushing it against the pregnant elephant's belly, just like human beings do. And see how another elephant is holding the tail up to facilitate the baby elephant come out without any hurdles. Other elephants are waiting and watching to see if she needs more help. The baby elephant is eagerly coming out to see the world. Of course, we can't help but think, this is pure imagination, right? Do elephants actually help a pregnant elephant deliver her baby? I thought the same until I watched this clip. Here, you can see how they behave in the wild. There's a group of elephants helping the mother elephant deliver the baby. An elephant is even holding the tail up. This means that ancient people were studying the reproductive behaviors of animals. Now, look at the carving of a human delivering a baby, again found in an ancient temple. The woman is in standing position, the baby is coming out, and she is assisted by other humans. very, very similar behavior between two species of mammals. If you had seen this carving before seeing the carving of the elephant, you would have had a completely different perspective. You may have thought these sculptors like to carve what they saw in their society. But when you see them side by side, you cannot help but wonder, were they systematically studying and documenting the reproductive behavior of all animals, including humans? Today, scientists observe the behaviors of animals like rats, pigs, and chimpanzees. This is one of the fundamental reasons why we are able to understand the human body and mind better. Were ancient builders also doing the same? Were they categorically documenting these behaviors in carvings? Not just reproductive behaviors, all behaviors, including social and personal behaviors. For example, you can see carvings of monkeys sitting in a meditating pose. But this is pure nonsense, right? Because monkeys do not meditate, they don't have any consciousness. At least that's what we thought until the last few years. Now, look at this video. Here, you can see a monkey in a meditating pose. This is real. We don't know if the monkey is actually meditating or not, but they do sit like this sometimes. Now we realize these carvings are not showing some fictional or mythological stuff. These guys were actually studying the behaviors of animals quite well. Another way to put this is accepting that today's experts have not yet studied and understood the behaviors of animals fully. And with the advent of camera phones, we have learned more about animals in the last 5 years than what experts learned in the last 50 years. So, why did they document the pregnancy and delivery of animals just like human beings? Why do scientists observe rats in labs today? To improve the lifestyle of rats? No, they do it to improve human lifestyle. Is it possible that ancient people were also studying animals to make similar improvements for humans? Earlier, I showed you how an embryo was artificially placed inside a woman's womb. But there is yet another strange carving found in an ancient temple. Here, we can see a female who's maybe 6 or 7 months pregnant, and there's a man standing beneath her. We can clearly see that this man is holding a cylindrical probe-like device. One end is inserted into her reproductive organ, and he's looking inside on the other end. His one eye is clearly placed on this end of the device. Today, we use the exact same technology, and this device is called a transvaginal ultrasound, and it's used to check the heartbeat of the fetus, and gynecologists use this to monitor pregnancies with a higher risk. The only difference is, now instead of looking directly using a lens, we place a camera and look at it using a monitor. So this is absolute proof of how advanced ancient technology was in India, especially in the medical field. Let's take a look at this ancient carving. It's just brilliant. We can see a pregnant lady, and the baby is going to start coming out any minute now. Look at the woman's face. She's gritting her teeth. We can almost hear her grunts trying to push out the baby. Look at the clothes on the rest of the women. You can see them clearly. But for this woman, it's not there because she can deliver anytime now. But you know what's really fascinating to me? She has a safety net between her legs. Look, if the baby suddenly falls because of gravity, there's a safety net to hold the baby and make sure the baby does not hit the ground. Now, the pregnant woman's arms are on the shoulders of 2 other females who are helping her push the baby out. But there is another woman, a doctor, thinking. See how they've shown a finger on her face, a classic expression of trying to decide the right course of action. Perhaps the baby is not head down, it needs to be turned. Here's another woman clearly holding some medicine to reduce the pain of labor. In modern terminology, we have an anesthesiologist reducing the pain, a gynecologist or an obstetrician to monitor the situation, and a couple of nurses to ensure a smooth delivery. Archaeologists confirm that this carving at Dharasuram temple was created 850 years ago. In a way, this is really funny because Western archaeologists used to look at carvings like this and used to comment that this is a primitive and a crude delivery scenario. Where's the bed? And why isn't the woman lying down? Why is she standing? Today, more and more doctors are recommending a standing delivery. Apart from the obvious benefit of gravity to help the baby descend, they say there is better oxygenation of the baby as the veins and aorta are not compressed by the pregnant uterus. They also say the contractions will be more efficient, the labor will be shorter and less painful, and fewer forceps, vacuum births, and other huge advantages if a woman delivers in the standing position. Perhaps all we need is a different perspective to see the reality of our ancient past. We have been repeatedly taught that we are right now at the pinnacle of human development, and ancient people were really primitive people. We are brainwashed right from the childhood with television programs, textbooks, and even today's social media. What we have to do is look at the ancient evidences in a different angle because it's obvious that what we are taught in books does not match what we see here. It's clear that they actually preferred a standing delivery simply because it was a better method. The ancient people were just a little bit more advanced than us. And they have also experimented with women lying down. We do see carvings of lying on the back deliveries. And believe it or not, we even have depictions of complications. This shows breech delivery. You can see the baby is coming out with the legs first and head last. And what would have happened if there were complications, if the child is, say, stillborn? What if the child has come out, but it's not breathing and there's no heartbeat? In the ancient Hoysaleswara temple, built at least 900 years ago, we can see something crazy. A doctor has a baby on his lap. The baby appears motionless as though its heart is not beating. The doctor has a strange dumbbell-like device in his hand and is pressing it against the baby's body. But look how they carve the details. It's placed on the left side of the baby's chest, exactly on top of the heart. Is he giving CPR to a stillborn baby? Do you know, in the last few years, we have invented a groundbreaking, life-saving modern device called a cardio pump? Are we going to ignore how this state-of-the-art device also has the dumbbell shape, exactly like the one in the ancient carving? So you can see they were using advanced technology completely from start to finish, from the time before conception, all the way until after the baby was born. Technology was involved. But ancient Indians appeared to be equally superstitious. They had many strange and barbaric rituals when a baby was born. But this is not just a thing of the past. India is perhaps the only country where the age-old rituals are still continued today, even after thousands of years. In remote parts of South India, babies are delivered by traditional doctors. These doctors have never been to school. They have learned their techniques from their mothers, who learned it from their grandmothers, and so on. As soon as the baby is born, a strange ritual is performed. The doctor will take the umbilical cord and also remove the blood inside the cord and will keep it in a container. Then she will mix a secret ingredient and everything will be put into a small airtight vial called tayat. So, where do you buy this vial, right? It's actually available in all the country stores which sell traditional items in South India. It costs like 50 rupees, less than a dollar. And some people buy this today and simply wear them thinking it has magical properties. They don't even realize that this is a container. You can open it on both sides and you can put something inside. It is actually quite a sophisticated vial. And it is still called Tayathu even after thousands of years. And the name Tayathu actually means cut from the mother. Tai means mother and Attu means cut off. And what do you cut off from the mother? The umbilical cord. So the traditional doctor will store the cord blood of the umbilical cord inside this as soon as the baby is born. This vial will be kept safely by the doctor. On the 28th day after the birth, a grand ceremony called Aranyanam or Aranyan Kairu is celebrated. A waistband-like ornament made of gold or thick black thread is tied around the waist of the baby. And this vial will be attached to this waistband as a part of this ceremony. As the baby grows, he or she will continue to change the waistband because the thread has to become bigger. But they're not allowed to change the vial and they must keep the same old vial forever and attach it to their newer waistbands. This waistband ceremony is even mentioned in the oldest Tamil text called Tulkapiyam. So this weird ritual is thousands of years old. But in the last few centuries, when civilized people started to come to India, they were not amused at this barbaric practice. Saving the blood from umbilical cords of babies and making them wear this for life? Hindus were pictured as barbaric, ignorant, and superstitious. So, most Indians gave up this practice and they don't have these vials and they don't wear this thread anymore, except in remote parts of South India. And then suddenly, in the last few years, there is a groundbreaking new technology called stem cell technology. If you go to a big hospital now for the delivery of a baby, doctors will ask you, do you want to preserve the cord blood of the baby? What is this cord blood? What is this stem cell technology? The blood from the umbilical cord. Now, experts confirm that stem cells are special cells found in the umbilical cord, and we can cure deadly diseases, including cancer, if we preserve these cells. So, if a baby is born today and doctors preserve its stem cells, 50 years or later, if that 50-year-old man gets cancer, they can use his stem cells to cure him. Is it possible that ancient Indians were also using the same technology? Did every person carry their own stem cells in these vials? Think about it. Even historians agree that ancient Indians, like Cholas, traveled thousands of miles and conquered distant lands. If a person gets injured or gets a grave disease, what better place to retrieve the stem cells? He must, of course, carry this with him at all times. The full ancient system and knowledge must have been slowly destroyed over a long period of time. Even the traditional doctors know very little now. But even today, if the person gets bit by a poisonous snake, for example, they will open this vial, mix it with milk, and it will save the person's life. Even these doctors think it's some kind of magic as the knowledge of the
Oh
ancient stem
my
cell technology
God! अब
is
समझ में आया
lost.
आपको?
ये देखिए
Of course, some of you will say, well, stem cells must be in a freezer, so this is nonsense. Again, just be patient for a few more decades, and scientists will come up with a totally new way of preserving them without freezing them. If the Indian government is smart, they should look into the secret ingredient added in the vial that may have the key to preserving cells. How could ancient Hindus possibly know about this? If they knew about stem cells, did they also perform cloning? We all know cloning is the process of creating an exact replica of someone just by taking one cell. In 1997, the very first successful clone was achieved. Scientists took just one cell from the udder of a sheep and then cloned it into an entirely new sheep and called it Dolly. Dolly looked no different from a regular sheep and lived for 6.5 years. Now, scientists confirm that they can take a few cells from your skin and make an exact replica of you if the law permits. But the exact same process is mentioned in the oldest Vedic text called Rig Veda. In here, three guys, collectively known as Rebus, wanted to create a cow. So they peel a little bit of skin from the cow and then clone it into an identical cow. They were actually cloning it, but they do something that's even more interesting. They find an older man who could not remember things and had lost all his practical skills. So they bring back his memory power and he then remembers all his skills. Today, this process is called therapeutic cloning, specifically designed to resolve Alzheimer's disease. And scientists are now able to make elderly patients remember and regain their skills with this type of cloning. Are we really inventing new technology? Or did this exist in ancient times? If so, did they also work on DNA? Is there any evidence to prove this? Ancient Hindu temples are full of mysterious symbols resembling the double helix structure of DNA, not in just one or two sites. This symbol is nearly found in all ancient temples. In a previous video, I decoded one aspect of the Nagas, but it's nearly impossible not to think of DNA strands when you see this. Why were ancient Hindus carving this everywhere? But it gets more interesting because sometimes they're not just snakes. For example, this 11th century artifact is found in Bhopal Museum. Here, we can see two figures who are partially human, and then their tails are tangled up, symbolizing the DNA. Is it a symbol of DNA manipulation or genetic modification or something like that? Are humans purely a product of evolution, or were we genetically modified at some point in time? Today, we're making new species like liger by uniting a lion and tiger. Were human beings also created or modified using this technology? Why do we see 3% of Neanderthal DNA in human beings? How did our DNA evolve dramatically? Was it modified artificially in ancient times, just like how we are making GMO or genetically modified organisms today? How did human beings alone evolve to the level of reaching Mars, while chimpanzees, which have 98% of the same DNA, are still using sticks and stones? Here's an ancient carving. You can see a fish at the bottom. What is remarkable is that we can see a type of long twisted strand coming out of its mouth. And on the top, we can see a strange amphibian or a reptile-like animal emerging. Is it possible that ancient builders are showing that amphibians and reptiles evolved from fish? What else can this be? But this is crazy, right? Because first of all, DNA is very, very tiny. The diameter of DNA is only about 2 nanometers. 1 nanometer is 1 billionth of a meter. And this is so small, you cannot even visualize how small it is. For example, if you take one human hair, it has a diameter of 100,000 nanometers. So you can understand how small 1 nanometer is. So it is a wild claim to say that ancient people were able to see such small dimensions and they manipulated tiny DNA strands. To even consider this as a possibility, we need actual physical evidence that ancient Indians understood and used nanotechnology. But surprisingly, such an evidence has emerged from an ancient archaeological site called Kiradi in South India. Even by conservative estimate, this site is at least 2,600 years old. And what archaeologists have found here has baffled all experts. The carbon tubes found here show that ancient people were able to synthesize carbon structures accurately to less than 1 nanometer. This is smaller than the diameter of a DNA strand. Experts confirm that yes, they have used nanotechnology at least 2,600 years ago. So we have actual physical evidence proving that ancient Indians had the capability to process and manipulate something as small as DNA. Today, we collect DNA samples and use a machine called centrifuge. In simpler terms, we need to rotate DNA samples at high speed. Why? Because the weight of DNA is lesser than the rest of the cell material. So by spinning the sample with centrifuge, we can separate the DNA alone. This is the essential process before analyzing it. Now, bioengineers from Stanford have developed a handheld centrifuge where you can place multiple vials and rotate them at high speed. You don't even need electricity to centrifuge samples in this handheld device. But did ancient Indians also use the same centrifuge technology? Here's a man holding a circular device. Around it, there are multiple slots to hold various samples. Even more interesting, the man appears to be looking at his wristwatch as though he's timing the centrifuge process, just like how we use a timer today. Are all these carvings mere coincidences, or were ancient people involved in genetic modification and DNA manipulation? Now, I've shown you evidence after evidence from ancient carvings, ancient texts, archaeological artifacts, age-old rituals, etc. You can tell that I gathered this information after visiting many ancient sites and researching for many years. But let's say I'm wrong about 25% of this. Let's say I misunderstood 25% of this stuff. Actually, let's inverse that. Let's even claim that I'm wrong 75% and only 25% of this information is accurate. But even that is very big. The evidences I've shown you, even if 25% is accurate, that actually proves that there was very advanced technology during ancient times. We have to admit that what we read in history books is not the whole picture. And there's a huge chunk of ancient history that's deliberately hidden from us. I hope you like this video. I am Praveen Mohan. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and please give it a thumbs up and do share it with your friends. And I will talk to you soon. Bye.
ओके।
मेरी तो अक्ल हैरान है, मुझे तो समझ ही नहीं आ रहा मैं क्या कहूँ। इतनी एडवांसमेंट थी हजारों साल पहले भी कि उस लेवल तक अभी तक हम नहीं पहुंच सके, कि वो इतने अपर लेवल के ऊपर थे कि मेडिकल के हवाले से तो उन्हें हर नॉलेज थी।
अच्छा, हमने इससे पहले एक टेक्नोलॉजी देखी थी,
हम्म,
तो उस वीडियो में तो समझो कुछ भी नहीं था। वो जो
कुछ भी नहीं
मूवमेंट
था,
थी,
मूवमेंट वो रिवॉल्व हो रहा था,
हाँ,
रोटेट हो रहा था, तो वो तो कुछ भी नहीं था।
तो उसके मुकाबले में आज जो हमने वीडियो देखी,
हमारी तो आंखें फट गई।
मतलब अगर सबसे पहले तो जो डिलीवरी है, जो इंसान की पैदाइश है,
वो वैसे ही बहुत क्रिटिकल प्रोसेस है।
ठीक है ना। अच्छा, उससे पहले इंसान की बॉडी के अंदर जो तब्दीलियाँ होती है
तब्दीलियाँ
औरत के
होती हैं।
अंदर, किस तरह से सही तरीके से
अच्छा, सबसे बड़ी बात तो ये कि एक औरत अगर किसी बेबी को कंसीव कर रही है, तो यही मैं कहती हूँ बहुत कमाल की बात है, इसको पता लगाना है, इसको कंफर्म कर पाना। उस दौर में क्या हालात थे और किस तरीके से कर लेते थे वो लोग।
अच्छा, आज वो जो टेस्ट ट्यूब बेबी वाला जो है, वो आने वाले दौर की एक चीज़ है,
2035 के बाद हम
आने
देखेंगे।
वाले दौर की एक चीज़ है। लेकिन वहाँ पर यार, मतलब आप क्या कह सकती हो कि
मैं
पिछले
कुछ
दौर के,
नहीं
इसका
कह
मतलब
सकती,
ये है
बिल्कुल।
कि अगर चीज़ें डिस्ट्रॉय हुई हैं, अगर चीज़ें तबाह हुई हैं और वो जो लोग थे वो ख़त्म हुए हैं, तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि शायद उनके साथ वो जो उनकी टेक्नोलॉजी थी वो भी ख़त्म हुई है।
हम बहुत खसारे में मैं तो कहूँगी, और हमने बहुत, यानी उनके साथ साथ हमने बहुत कुछ खो दिया।
मैं यही तो
वो
कह रहा हूँ।
इतने टैलेंटेड थे, उनके जो
जो उनकी टेक्नोलॉजी, जो
नहीं।
उनकी तालीम थी, जो उनकी तालीम थी, जो उनकी एजुकेशन थी, तो मैं कहता हूँ वो तो बहुत सारी चीज़ों में। अच्छा, आखिरी में उन्होंने जो बात की है कि अगर ये 25% सच है, मतलब ये सारी चीज़ें अगर मेरी एजम्पशन है, ये हमारी सोच है, और ये अगर 25% सच है, तो भी कितना बड़ा सच है,
बहुत बड़ा सच है। और दूसरी
कितनी
बात ये,
ज़्यादा तरक्की
अच्छा
है।
मेरे माइंड से निकल गया था, उनके ज़माने के जो आर्किटेक्चर्स हम देखते हैं, उनके ज़माने के जो बिल्डर्स थे, मैं तो कहूँगी, मैं उन्हें सैल्यूट करती हूँ। वो इतने कमाल के थे कि उन्होंने अपनी मीनाकारी से हर चीज़ को रिप्रेजेंट कर दिया, दिखा दिया
अच्छा,
कि आने वाली कौमें देख सकें।
अच्छा, ये जो मीनाकारी से, स्ट्रक्चर से जो चीज़ें बताई हैं, ये तो बहुत कम होंगी, मतलब हकीकत तो और बहुत
और
कुछ
ज़्यादा
होगी,
हाई-फाई
लेकिन
होगी,
जो
बहुत
चीज़ें
बुलंद
रिकॉर्ड
होगी।
में आ गई हैं पत्थरों पर,
तो वो हम
ये
देख पाए, उसका सबूत मिल
हाँ,
पाया
तो इसका
हमें।
मतलब है कि
इसके अलावा और भी बहुत कुछ होगा जो दब गया, जो नहीं पता
चीज़ें
चल
ऐसी
सका।
हैं जिनके रिकॉर्ड ही नहीं होंगे। ये तो यूँ समझ लो कि एक तरह से मोटी-मोटी चीज़ें।
मोटी चीज़ें जो हमें उन बिल्डर्स ने जो बनाया, उनकी नक्शो-निगारी से हमें आइडिया हो गया कि ये भी एग्जिस्ट करता है, ये भी थे,
या जो
ये
वहाँ
भी
के
थे।
मतलब है कि
हाँ, जो भी थे,
नक्शो-निगारी बनाने वाले थे।
नक्शो-निगारी बनाते थे, जो भी उस वक्त के बिल्डर्स थे, उन्होंने जो बनाया बहुत कमाल का बनाया, और उसके थ्रू हमें पता चल पाया। नहीं तो हमें तो ऐसा लगता कि वो लोग, उनके पास तो कुछ था ही नहीं, जैसे हम समझते थे कि टेक्नोलॉजी तो ज़ीरो थी, उनके पास कुछ था ही नहीं, लेकिन वो तो हमसे भी आगे थे।
अच्छा, इसमें सबसे ज़्यादा शॉकिंग आपको कौन सा लगा था? सबसे ज़्यादा?
वो बेबी कंसीव, वो वाला जो स्पर्म को
टेस्ट
रखते हैं,
ट्यूब।
टेस्ट ट्यूब के अंदर रखते हैं, और
और
उसके
वो
बाद
जो
जो अभी तक हमारे पास भी नहीं है वो टेक्नोलॉजी।
वो सबसे ज़्यादा जो वो लगा था जोड़ा वाला, यानी कि वो ट्विन्स, मतलब दो स्पर्म एक साथ एक टेस्ट ट्यूब बेबी में, यानी कि इतना हैरत अंगेज। और ये अभी कुछ साल पहले की बात है, जो उन्होंने एक शिप जो थी ना, डॉली नाम से, उसको वो किया था, मतलब एक कि
एक्सपेरिमेंट करके देखा था ये वाला,
रेप्लिका,
और उनका बिल्कुल रेप्लिका सेम टू सेम।
तो उस दौर में भी ये टेक्नोलॉजी इनके पास भी
हाँ,
थी।
वो कर रहे थे। अच्छा, मैंने देखा है बहुत कुछ जानवरों से सीखा,
जानवरों से सीखा,
जानवरों से सीखा बहुत कुछ। जैसे एलिफेंट की बीच में उन्होंने मिसाल दी थी, और एक दफ़ा और भी एक और जानवर की, मंकीज़ की थी। तो मतलब बहुत सारे जानवरों से, यानी कि मैं ये कहूँगी कि उन्हें नॉलेज नहीं थी, लेकिन जानवर जो है वो तो जाहिर सी बात है, उनकी तो मेमोरी में होता है, वो तो फीड होता है उनके, ठीक है ना। उनको पता है कि जैसे एक चूज़ा है, उसको पता है,
फितरत में शामिल
नहीं, उसको पता होता है कि मुझे जी बचना है, कोई हमला करने वाला तो खुद ऑटोमेटिक दौड़ता है। अच्छा, इंसान के अंदर ये आदत है कि इंसान सीखता है, ठीक है, एनवायरनमेंट से सीखता है, चीज़ों से सीखता है, पेरेंट्स सिखाते हैं, उसकी एक तरबियत होती है। लेकिन जानवर तो ऐसा लगता है सब कुछ सीखे हुए, उनको सब पता है। तो मुझे लगता है कि उस दौर का जो इंसान था, वो जानवरों से सीखता था।
बहुत कुछ उसने
बहुत
संसारों
कुछ
से देखा था कि
देखा
क्या
और
चीज़ें
सीखा।
हैं, क्या नहीं है, किस तरह
यानी
से
कि उनको
उनके
कैप्चर
behaviour
करा,
से।
उनको हाँ, उनको कैच करा।
अच्छा, जानवरों
किस
से बात मैं बताऊँ आपको, जानवरों को अल्लाह पाक ने एक फिक्स चीज़ें दे दी।
दे दी है।
यानी मिसाल के तौर पर बच्चा पैदा होता
हम्म।
है या मतलब दूध पीता है या कोई ऐसी चीज़ देखेगा तो बच्चा भागेगा। अब एक छोटे से हिरन के बच्चे को कैसे पता कि ये शेर मुझे खा जाएगा?
शेर मुझे खा जाएगा, वो कैसे भाग रहा है?
तो उन्हें ना
वो ऑलरेडी सेंसिबल होता है,
उन्हें कुछ चीज़ें फिक्स हो जाती हैं।
फिक्स्ड होती है, उनकी मेमोरी फिक्स्ड होती है।
अच्छा, इंसान के साथ क्या है, इंसान के साथ ये चीज़ है कि यार
बहुत कम।
धूप आ रही है तो मैं साइड पे हो जाऊँ, बारिश आ रही है तो ये पानी दिख रहा है तो मैं डूब ना जाऊँ।
नहीं,
मिसाल
एक थोड़ा सा
बहुत सी
हम
चीज़ें-
जैसे एक बच्चा है, अंगारे रखे हैं और खोल रखा है, तो उससे फर्क नहीं पड़ा,
बिल्कुल
वो अंगारे भी उठा सकता है।
बिल्कुल
ये तो हम जब हम
ठीक है।
बड़े होते जाते हैं,
लेकिन
तरबियत
कुछ
होती जाती है,
चीज़ें-
तो हमें पता चल जाता है कि ये चीज़ गलत है, ये सही, जब हम नुकसान उठा लेते हैं।
इंसानों के साथ कुछ चीज़ें ऐसी जो फिक्स हैं, कुछ चीज़ें हैं जो मतलब है कि पता होता है कि यार ऊँचाई है, बच्चा डर रहा होता है, नहीं मैं गिरूँगा। ऊँचाई पे अगर बच्चे को ले जाओ ना, छोटे बच्चे को
नहीं, मैंने
4-5
बहुत सारी
साल-
वीडियोस भी देखी इस हवाले से कि इंसान के अंदर कुछ भी फिक्स नहीं, सब वो दुनिया में
और
सीखता है।
नहीं, कुछ चीज़ें ऐसी
चलना तक तो दुनिया में सीखता है।
लेकिन
खुद
उसे
बताओ।
पता है ना, उसे पता है कि चलना है, उसे पता है
नहीं, ये
माँ-
यही चीज़ तो
लेकिन
बता रही हूँ कि
सोचना
तरबियत होती है।
और
जैसे माँ बाप बताते हैं कि ये खाना है,
बहुत सारी चीज़ें तो देखो
नहीं,
आगे बढ़ के तो सारी चीज़ें माँ
लेकिन
माँ
हम
सिखाते हैं
अगर खुद को एनिमल से कंपेयर करें ना, तो वो जो होते हैं वो सीखे सिखाए होते हैं।
और उनमें वही होते हैं बस,
हाँ,
उतना ही होता है।
उतना ही होता है। हम
उतना
तो
ही होता
जैसे
है।
आपने बोला था कि एक बच्चा है जिसको मैं 4 खिलौने देकर रूम में
हाँ।
पैक कर दूं, तो अल्लाह पाक ने हमारे साथ यही किया कि
बिल्कुल।
हमें सब कुछ दे तो दिया है, लेकिन समझना हमें खुद है, लेकिन
दिमाग दे दिया,
दिमाग दे दिया, ठीक है। और कुछ हमारे पेरेंट्स, हमारी अपब्रिंगिंग होती है तो हमें समझ में आता है, फिर जब दिमाग खुलता है तो वो खुलता चला जाता है,
बिल्कुल।
ठीक है ना, उसका फिर कोई रोक नहीं है उसकी।
बिल्कुल।
और आप ये बात सही कह रहे हैं कि जो जानवर है उनमें फिक्स्ड है,
Fixed
ठीक है,
लेकिन-
उनको
लेकिन-
भागना है, उनको करना है, उनको खाना है, और बस उनको थोड़ी दिनों में मर जाना है।
लेकिन मैं ये सोच रहा हूँ कि अगर इतनी टेक्नोलॉजी थी तो वो आगे ट्रांसफ़र कैसे नहीं हुई? मतलब यहाँ तो अभी चीज़ें डिस्कवर हो रही हैं, मतलब यहाँ तो अभी भी ऐसी-ऐसी चीज़ें इजाद हो रही हैं और वो बकायदा सर्जरी तक करते थे, बहुत सारे इंसान के जिस्म के अंदर का अल्ट्रासाउंड वगैरह तक कर रहे थे, मतलब इतने एडवांस
इस लेवल तक थे।
प्रॉपर डॉक्टर और नर्स और सारे
बिल्डर्स,
हेल्पर्स
और
वगैरह।
मतलब मैं तो कहूँगी आज के कल के जो दौर में जो चीज़ें नहीं है वो भी उनके पास उस दौर में थी। ये बात कहना गलत नहीं होगा।
अच्छा, इससे क्या लग रहा है कि अच्छा इनकी जो नॉलेज है
हम्म,
भैया की, मतलब इस वीडियो के बाद मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है कि
बहुत नॉलेज
अगर मैं अब कहीं ऐसी जगह पे जाता हूँ, किसी टेम्पल में जाता हूँ, तो मेरे ख्याल में हमारा उस टेम्पल को देखने का नज़रिया चेंज
जो
हो
होगा।
जाएगा।
अच्छा, हम कहीं जाएं, हमारे अंदर आता है, हम किसी साइट पे जाते हैं,
हम्म।
किसी टेम्पल पे भी जाएं, कराची में भी टेम्पल्स हैं, तो हम बस ऐसे जैसे विजिट करने नहीं आता।
एक
मैं ये
ancient
कहूँगी,
जगह देखकर बस हमें
लेकिन मैं ये देख रही हूँ कि जो जिन्होंने वीडियो बनाई है वो किस हद तक सोच रहे
आपने
हैं,
देखा कितनी-
चीजों को रिलेट कर रहे हैं, कनेक्ट कर रहे हैं,
अच्छा।
इस तरीके से उन्होंने खूबसूरती से हमें सब, मतलब ऐसा लगता है थाल में सजा के रख दिया।
अच्छा, आपने देखा कि जब कोई चीज़ नहीं वाज़ेह हो रही हमें तो उन्होंने उस चीज़ को ग्रीन करके इंडिकेट किया, उससे
Indicate।
पता चला हमें।
हाँ,
मतलब मैं
हाँ।
बिल्कुल सच बताऊँ कि हमारा ध्यान नहीं जा रहा था
ड्रेस पे नहीं जा रहा था, मेरा ड्रेस पे नहीं गया था।
बाकायदा जब
जब
उन्होंने
उन्होंने ग्रीन करा तो मुझे हाँ फील हुआ कि वाकई
मैं
उन्होंने
इनका पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू को सलाम करूंगा कि ये जिस तरह उन चीज़ों को अपने
सोच रहे
पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से
हैं,
देख
देख रहे हैं, कमाल है,
और बिल्कुल
बिल्कुल सही देख रहे हैं,
और उन चीज़ों को पढ़ रहे हैं
पढ़ रहे हैं।
और फिर
कितना टाइम लगाया होगा, समझा होगा,
समझा
सोचा
होगा।
होगा, कनेक्ट किया होगा, रिलेट किया होगा, फिर आज के दौर से कंपेयर किया होगा। मैं कहती हूँ बहुत स्टडी की है, बहुत रिसर्च की है।
ये जो अंग्रेज है आज के, जो इतनी तरक्की कर चुके हैं, मैं तो कहता हूँ कि इनके मुकाबले में कुछ
कुछ
थे
भी नहीं और कुछ है ही नहीं।
और ये वो दौर की चीज़ें हैं जब इंसान तो बिल्कुल वही क्या था,
इतने-
खाने पीने के चक्कर में था,
बिल्कुल,
सिर्फ
बिल्कुल।
जंगलों से जानवरों को मार के खाता था।
इनका मेडिकल का ये म्यार था,
ये
तब इनका
म्यार
ये
था।
मेडिकल का म्यार था कि इन्हें सब पता था,
सब पता।
जो अभी भी हमें नहीं पता वो नहीं पता था उनको।
अच्छा,
उनके पास वो टेक्नोलॉजी थी।
जो उनकी जो पिक्चर्स बनी हुई थी डिलीवरी के टाइम की, तो वो कह रहे हैं कि आज के डॉक्टर एडवाइस करते हैं कि सबसे बेस्ट मेथड ये है।
सेंड
कमाल
करने।
कमाल यार।
और उनको वो पता था।
मतलब यूँ समझ लें कि हमारे लिए एक बहुत बड़ी शॉकिंग वीडियो, बहुत बड़ी शॉकिंग वीडियो। इससे हमारा
अच्छा।
जो नॉलेज था ये पुराने टेम्पल्स या चीज़ों को लेके वो इतना था, मैं कहता हूँ शायद अब इतना
अच्छा, मैं
बहुत फर्क है।
अगर कोई मेरे सामने ऐसे ही कोई रैंडम बंदा आके मुझे कहता कि इस तरीके से था,
कभी
टेम्पल्स में तो
नहीं।
ऐसा है वैसा है, उनके पास तो हमारे से ज़्यादा एडवांस टेक्नोलॉजी, तो मैं कहती अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा, मतलब मैं उसका मजाक उड़ाती सीरियसली कि लंबी लंबी फेंक रहा है, उनके पास कहाँ से टेक्नोलॉजी होगी, वो तो इतनी मतलब हज़ारों साल पहले वो एग्जिस्ट करते थे, उनके पास क्या होगा, कुछ नहीं होगा। हम तो इतनी मेहनत के बाद अब जाके यहाँ पहुँचे।
सही।
ठीक है, लेकिन अब तो मैं कुछ भी मान सकती हूँ, मैं कुछ भी मान
अच्छा,
सकती हूँ उनके बारे में।
जब शुरू में स्टार्ट हुई थी ना वीडियो, तो उसमें स्प्रम बना हुआ दिख रहा था। अच्छा,
तब तक डाउटफुल थी मैं।
तो मैं जब तक ये सोच रहा था कि एक दो चीजें होंगी छोटी मोटी सी
स्प्रम वगैरह,
जिसमें हमें आज ये
सेल और स्प्रम तक तो मैं रुक गई थी,
ठीक है ना,
मुझे लगा बस यही है,
तो मैं समझ रहा था कि इनफ था ये,
इनफ था ये हमारा मतलब हाई था।
इनफ था। लेकिन वो नैनो टेक्नोलॉजी को, डीएनए को देख चुके हैं यार, उनके पास इतनी टेक्नोलॉजी थी।
सीरियसली, और वो दो आपने देखा था, दो स्कल्पचर्स एक साथ बने हुए हैं और फिर नीचे से डीएनए का वो जो था,
और वो टेस्ट ट्यूब बेबी
हाँ बेबी का टेस्ट ट्यूब।
कमाल, मैं कहता हूँ कहाँ किस लेवल पर ये पहुंच चुके
अच्छा, मैं हैरान हूँ कि आगे क्यों नहीं हुआ, क्या इस हद तक तबाह बर्बादी हो गई कि उनकी कोई चीज़ नहीं बाकी रह सकी,
मतलब
आगे कोलैबोरेट क्यों नहीं?
अच्छा,
ये टेक्नोलॉजी, ये
आपने-
चीज़ें, ये बातें
आपने नोट किया जो चीज़ें रह गई,
वो रह गई,
जिन चीज़ों से हम
सीख रहे हैं, समझ रहे हैं,
वो बिल्कुल पत्थरों में नक्शों में
हाँ,
लगे हुए कि यानी कि वो टूट नहीं सकता था।
टूट नहीं सकता,
तो
वो
वो
हिल नहीं
चीज़ें हम
सकता
तक आ
था,
गई।
मतलब जो चीज़ें टच से मस नहीं हो सकी, वो जो उनके बकायजात बचे, हम कहेंगे सिंपल लैंग्वेज में, तो उनसे हम इस बात का आइडिया लगा पाए, उन पे रिसर्च करके हम जान पाए। नहीं तो हमें तो खबर भी नहीं होती कि वो लोग इतने एडवांस थे,
और
तो
ये
समझ लो वो तो पत्थर के दौर के लोग थे,
और
बहुत
ये
वो
भी
थे।
और ये भी कुछ लोगों का पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू इन चीज़ों को समझने
इसमें
का।
और मजीद कितनी
इसमें
डेप्थ है।
प्रवीण भाई जो है,
प्रवीण मोहम्मद जी
यकीन
बिल्कुल कमाल है वो, और मैं ये कहूँगी इसमें और मजीद मुझे ऐसी फीलिंग आ रही है कि बहुत डेप्थ होगी और मजीद बहुत डेप्थ होगी,
इसमें बहुत सारे राज मजीद
होंगे।
होंगे और पता नहीं कहाँ कहाँ तक ये पहुँच भी नहीं पाएंगे।
अच्छा, जहाँ हम नहीं पहुँच पाए ना, अगर हम इन चीज़ों पे स्टडी करें तो मुझे लगता है हम तो उन चीज़ों को भी पता लगा लेंगे।
अच्छा, मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है कि ये जो हमारे भाई हैं, ये इनका फोकस और इनकी जिंदगी का मकसद
यही है, और इनको इंटरेस्ट ही बना था।
इंटरेस्ट है। अच्छा, इस बात को लेके मैं एक और बात भी करूँगा छोटी सी, कि जिस शख्स को जिस काम का इंटरेस्ट होता है दिल से, वो उस काम का स्पेशलिस्ट बन जाए।
अच्छा,
अगर जिंदगी में किसी
मैंने
काम
उनका थोड़ा सा पता है मैंने कहाँ से ऐड लगाया कि उनको बला का इंटरेस्ट है। एक छोटा सा फॉटेज नहीं वीडियो था उनका, बीच में जो चल रहा था,
हाँ।
ठीक है ना, कहीं कहीं उनके
किचन
कट्स भी आ
में
रहे थे,
हाथ
हाँ,
लगा रहे
जब
थे।
वो छू रहे थे ना, आप उनका तजस्सुस देखते, आप उनको फील करने का, मतलब आप हाथ का देखते तो सही कि वो किस तरीके से फील करेंगे, मतलब बारीक से बारीक चीज को मिस नहीं कर रहे।
मतलब ऐसा लग रहा था कि
हाँ, तो दूर से देखेंगे आगे बढ़ जाएंगे,
बिल्कुल
है ना, ऐसे ही है।
नहीं, इनको मतलब एक इंटरेस्ट, और मुझे लग रहा है कि शायद इनके पास बहुत सारी नॉलेज है। इस
हम
हवाले से
पागल
बहुत
हैं,
सारी
मैं तो
knowledge
ये कहती हूँ कि हम पागल हैं जो हम अंग्रेजों को हर चीज़ का क्रेडिट देते हैं, हम
कुछ
अंग्रेजों को
नहीं
बोलते हैं कि
किया।
सब कुछ तो उन्होंने करा, उनकी देन है,
हिंदू
हम
धर्म-
उनके मोहताज हैं।
अच्छा, ये
इन चीज़ों पे अगर हम स्टडी कर लें तो हम तो उससे आगे निकल जाएंगे।
अच्छा, इसका मतलब ये है कि देखिए इन टेम्पल्स में ये चीज़ें मिली, काफ़ी टेम्पल्स में टेम्पल, तो इसका मतलब है ये सारा क्रेडिट हिंदू धर्म
को जाता है,
सारा
एग्जैक्टली, ये तो उनको कॉपी पेस्ट कर रहे हैं मेरे हिसाब
कॉपी
से,
पेस्ट कर रहे हैं,
बिल्कुल 100%।
और
ये
कॉपी पेस्ट भी क्या, अभी भी
सारा
बहुत
क्रेडिट
सारी
खुद ले रहे हैं।
अभी भी बहुत सारी रिसर्च
नहीं
कर
जा
रहे
पाए,
हैं।
नहीं जा पाए ना उस पाए तक, उस लेवल तक उनको छू नहीं पा रहे वो अभी तक। 2035 में जो चीज़ आएगी वो कर चुके हैं, वो जानते थे उसके बारे में।
मैं कहता हूँ
मैं कितना क्या बोलूं,
बहुत
मेरा दिल
ज़्यादा
ऐसा कर रहा है कि मैं खोल के रख दूं, मैं सब बोलूं, लेकिन
बहुत शॉकिंग
वाकई
है
seriously।
और हैरत है। अच्छा, इनके पास और भी नॉलेज होगी और भी इनकी वीडियोस
मैंने आपको
होगी,
क्या बोला?
हम 100% इनकी
Sure,
तकरीबन वीडियोस
बिल्कुल।
देखने वाले हैं, और हमें तो इतना इंटरेस्ट हो गया, और इंटरेस्ट के साथ साथ हैरान बहुत हो गए। हमारा नज़रिया हिंदू टेम्पल्स के लिए, हिंदू मज़हब के
बस
लिए
हिंदू
चेंज
टेम्पल्स मंदिर है,
चेंज हो गया,
ठीक है, हिस्टोरिकल है,
अब
दैट्स
चेंज
इट,
अब
दैट्स
चेंज
इट।
हो गया,
अब मुझे समझ में आया ये तो नॉलेज का मरकज है,
अब चेंज हो गया। अगर इनसे नॉलेज लेने वाला
हो, रिसर्चर हो अगर
तो एक बहुत ही ज़बरदस्त इंफॉर्मेटिव, यानी बहुत ही ज़्यादा इंफॉर्मेटिव हिस्टोरिकल,
बिल्कुल। और हिंदुइज्म का मैं ये कहूँगी एक बेहतरीन इतिहास,
मतलब
बेहतरीन
एक बहुत ही एक रोशन क्या कहते हैं
पिक्चर्स, और पता चल रहा है कि कितना ज्ञान
एडवांस
था,
कितना
कितना
एडवांस
ज्ञान था वाकई। ये तो मतलब मैं ये कहूँगी कि ज्ञान का एक, मैं क्या बोलूँ,
खजाना।
यूनिवर्सिटी थी,
बिल्कुल ऐसा ही
अगर हम कहें हिंदुस्तान, तो
था।
गलत नहीं
इसमें तो
होगा,
कोई भी शक
गलत नहीं होगा वाकई।
तो दोस्तों, एक बहुत ही ज़बरदस्त इंफॉर्मेटिव वीडियो, दोबारा किसी और वीडियो के साथ आपसे मुलाकात होगी, जब तक के लिए
अल्लाह हाफिज़।